In Thailand, the sex industry is loud and proud, and Pattaya is the seedy centre of it all. But even here, where it's on display in all its glory, the workers are subjected to stigma, intimidation and often arrest, simply for doing their jobs. Here, police have conducted a series of raids in the last fortnight, arresting young women for prostitution. In general, they're fined and released, back into the go-go bars that they came from, but not before they've experienced the routine humiliation that goes with the territory.
Other people can have a shit job and they can go home and life can be okay, but when you've got a shit job and you have stones thrown at you as you're walking home, you know, like that becomes internalised.
Where sex work is being persecuted, you unpersecute it. You take it out of the shadows.
At the same time the raids were taking place, so was a landmark conference. For the first time, sex workers, police, government, UN and NGO representatives from 8 countries across Asia and the Pacific were meeting, also in Pattaya.
Roughly a third of the participants here this week are sex workers, and they're saying, trust us, work with us, allow us to empower our own communities, and a lot of solutions will come as a result.
Sex workers want to reduce stigma and discrimination.
On sexual reproductive health.
Policymakers want that too, because across Asia, the spread of HIV and AIDS is emanating largely from the sex industry, and only education and empowerment of sex workers will stop it.
I think what we've learned for sure over the last 30 years is criminalization of adult behavior is not the way to go. If adults practice certain behavior at a high enough scale, don't criminalize it. What you've got to do is say, how do we make it safer? How do we make it healthy?
Between countries, differences in religion and culture mean the barriers to bringing the sex industry out of the shadows are slightly different, but the key solutions are similar in places as far apart as India and Papua New Guinea.
It's difficult dealing with these things when we are a Christian nation based on Christian principles enshrined in our Constitution. But we also have enshrined in our Constitution the right to privacy, the right to equality, regardless of sex, etc. Now, whether we can accept sex means sexual diversity, we haven't quite made that step yet in Papua New Guinea.
PNG Government Minister Dame Carol Kidu has made a career out of changing laws. In this case, she wants to remove penalties for homosexuality and prostitution that force the activity underground.
In general, these punitive, draconian laws are not used, rarely used, but they can and have been abused by rogue police, not by the police in general, but by rogue police, by threats and blackmailing, extortion, the threat that you can be arrested, you can be charged.
Poverty and lack of education mean that many sex workers have little control over their lives. This advertisement by the Asia Pacific Network of Sex Workers shows how they're treated by police and others more powerful than them. Authorities using threats and blackmail against those who do sex work is a big barrier to HIV prevention. The workers need to be able to openly find protection and the support that they need to get health services and negotiate safe sex with clients.
A doctor who won't tell them to go away, a doctor who won't sit them in a separate chair in the waiting room, a pharmacist that will sell them medicine for the same price as everyone else instead of double the price because they know they're a sex worker. You know, and these things happen at every level, and people who can say no to that and programs that can set that up and deliver that to sex workers then have people wanting to come to them, and that's when they can do the HIV prevention as well.
8 years ago, Australian Andrew Hunter started the Asia Pacific Network of Sex Workers. It works with workers like Katie, to set up drop-in centres for people who need a network.
So the network's set up and ready to...
In spite of all the human rights and governance issues in Katie's home country of Burma, she set up 18 centres with 300 staff to provide healthcare, counselling and support. In Burma, 28% of men having sex with men and 18% of female sex workers are HIV positive.
We know where will be our friend, where they move, how we need to talk them to understand. So we talk with them that our community language is easy to understand, and then we give to them. It's like, empowering.
There are still problems, but even in a place like Burma, Katie's been able to use the network to create a relationship with police and to increase understanding.
Our program is now we are getting bit better and better.
There's a realisation that they're actually not subhuman.
If nothing else, sex workers want to be seen as doing a job, just like everyone else. Here in Thailand, the industry is well and truly on show. Yet these workers still face the constant fear of arrest.
It's illegal in many countries, but the sex industry is no secret. In Asia, every year, 10 million women have sex with 75 million men. And they go on to have sex with another 50 million people.
The implications of those figures are obvious to Sarang Janyam, who runs an NGO with drop-in centres around Thailand. Former sex workers hand out condoms to other workers in bars and on the street. These boxes have been designed especially to hold them, because even just carrying a condom can get a sex worker arrested.
Sometimes we had to pay a fine to the police to take the sex worker out from the jail. This is it's hard to solve the problem.
Tonight we're joining the group on a trip around town.
We need the opportunity for them, like opportunity to go to school, the opportunity to go to get the good quality of healthcare service, and also have right to get protected if they get beat or they get violent or they get discrimination from the people in the society.
Swing gets much of its funding from USAID and the Global Fund, which fights HIV, TB and malaria with international money. Australia just announced a commitment of $210 million over the next 3 years, a 55% increase.
What do you do?
We are working about HIV prevention. So we give them the knowledge and we give them the condom. And you also, when you have sex, you have to use condom. Okay.
Safe sex. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Safe sex.
Safe sex.